Trauma works backward. In the present tense, asking someone for forgiveness only takes a moment, but the sin or error can go generations deep. When a person's body or spirit or mind is violated, and the violator asks to be forgiven, the wronged person must make a decision. Do I do this or not? If I do not, am I a bad person? As bad as the person who violated me? Am I just bad? Just over 2,000 years ago, a 33-year-old man was executed by an invading empire, and while he waited for death to take him, he asked his father to forgive the people who killed him because they did not understand what they were doing. Because he told us that his father was God, for thousands of years since, people have felt pressured to speedily forgive anyone who has done them wrong. Trauma, however, can last years and even lifetimes. God may forgive easily, but this is less true for many of us. Over a decade ago, I began to write about clergy abuse, spiritual abuse, and the ways in which women, children, and vulnerable populations are damaged by people in power. I did so because I saw how often the justice system, churches, and the public respond to accusations of abuse by trying to tear down the person who's been abused. We have language for this now: victim blaming. Whatever I could do to lessen the frequency of that seemed urgent. Forgiveness, however, increasingly became part of the national conversation. It was in pop psychology, entertainment, even in sports. But mostly, forgiveness was trotted out in almost every conversation about politics and religion. In the wake of the 2015 murder of 9 Black Christians in Charleston who were shot during a Bible study by a white supremacist, much of the media focus was on the miraculous notion that these people's families were somehow able to forgive Dylan Roof. In the complex legacy of slavery in America, Christianity has played the role of both oppressor and redeemer of Black people. The late theologian James Cone wrote that for Black Americans, forgiveness was a form of deep spiritual resistance. In Cone's understanding of Black liberation theology, granting others forgiveness would allow them agency, which would in turn free them from hating their oppressors. This, Cone reasoned, would ultimately be liberating. For white Americans, however, the forgiveness offered by the Charleston survivors became overrepresented to the point that the pain and anger that was also deeply felt was sometimes ignored. I couldn't possibly say whether the forgiveness of the families was liberating for them, but the national obsession with their forgiveness sometimes felt like a racist nation's rush to absolve itself of its sins. When I went searching for sources, even the subtitle of one book about the massacre reinforced this. The journalist Jennifer Berry Hawes's otherwise excellent nonfiction account of the trial of Roof is titled "Grace Will Lead Us Home," but the subtitle, "The Charleston Church Massacre and the Hard, Inspiring Journey to Forgiveness," unsettled me. What is so inspiring about traumatized people feeling a pressure to forgive someone as evil and unrepentant as Roof? In her accounting of the victim statements given just 48 hours after the shooting, Hawes emphasizes how each person stated, "I forgive you." What she doesn't emphasize is the belief of many devout Christians that if they don't forgive, they won't go to heaven, where they believe they'd be reunited with their beloveds for eternity. For better or worse, that notion that failing to grant forgiveness is spiritually damning has led